we talked about this when we did the live read, but which death was sadder to you guys? Hedwig's or Moody's?
Oh, yeah, you did.
I think in the moment, Hedwig was, but I said Moody because ultimately Moody's was more sad.
Yep.
But something about maybe the way it was written, it felt like it happened so fast. Like Hedwig, I feel like we had time to process where Hedwig gets hit. And I'm like, wait, oh no, what's going on? And then Hedwig's cage is down at the bottom and Harry's wondering. And then Hedwig falls. And then you see like, I guess Hedwig falling out of sight. And so that was like a more extended traumatizing death. And Moody, it was like a one line, just like, and Moody's gone now. We're like, what? So
Yeah.
I think once it set in though, Moody's was sadder, but also fitting in the same way. Similar to how Sirius doesn't have that many like people close to him. So when I said that line way back when, where I'm like, oh, it'd be easy for him to die. Same thing for Moody because he's a warrior. He is. So, you know, when he goes, you're like, well, at least not that we know of. Nobody's like mourning for him. He doesn't have family out there. He doesn't have kids. He's not like, I don't know. It somehow feels simpler compared to anyone else in that crew that could have died. I'm like, Dung, he can go, obviously.
Yeah.
But after that, I think Moody would be my next choice. That's a terrible way to say it. I don't want any of them to die. But like, if somebody has to,
He just
I
didn't
feel
have
like it's
attachments.
worthy. Yeah.
Like he doesn't seem like he has anyone in his life. So you're like, you know, it's not bad if he died, but that's probably a terrible thing.
I
But you're
know,
like,
I know.
As far as reading is concerned, you're like,
Yep.
anybody else in that group would have been devastating. Like literally anybody else.
Yep.
Maybe Kingsley wouldn't have been because we really don't know
Oh,
Kingsley
yeah,
all
that's a
that
good
much.
point.
But he was like the only one. You guys, her writing this because I remember or reading this again. I was reading it last night and I was like, where she leaves you off in chapter 4 with Hagrid's like dead on the ground. Next chapter called Fallen Warrior is just torture.
Brutal.
Because you guys were like, if Hagrid's dead, I'm done.
I was
if
like,
he's
that
dead,
would be
done.
over the line. Also, a fair way to go defending Harry and so
for
noble,
sure.
so legit.
For sure.
But I was like, that's why it almost made sense. And I was like, no, it cannot be. That would be too soon.
Yeah.
Oh, man. So I was almost so relieved that I'm like, all right, good. Hagrid's alive. The Fallen Warrior can be anyone else then.
Yeah. That was her trick.
You're in the vast minority though, because most people say Hedwig's is a little sadder than
Interesting.
Moody's.
I'm curious, as a first-time watcher versus first-time reader, and all of the stuffed snowy owls and whatever, like how the relationship with people like Sirius or the relationship with Hedwig changes based on your experience. And if you read it slower, I think Hedwig is a character in the books and all, but it feels like maybe more in the movies, Hedwig has become like a symbol of like good, of Harry.
Yeah, for sure.
So I don't know. Maybe it just felt like Hedwig wasn't as big of a character. I don't know if that makes sense, or maybe it was just not for me, or I didn't connect with Hedwig, or it felt like Harry didn't even have the best relationship with Hedwig.
Yeah, Harry was like not the greatest pet owner as we've
No,
talked
that
about
was
before.
to me that was sadder than Hedwig's death. Was just
seriously.
like Harry's always slinging this thing around and not caring for her, or like
the thing comes back with the
her.
frog and he rips the frog out of the mouth. Deliver this package, you know?
Like, oh goodness.
I know. But it is sad because like the combination of the two, you're going back to book 1 where Hagrid bought Hedwig for Harry. And so it's like part of that connection is broken. Where Hedwig is almost like a symbol for like your innocence is lost. You're like, you're no longer an innocent child. You are, this is like a serious thing, whatever we're dealing with here. So it is not like the biggest character, but it is a little sad. Jen, was Moody or Hedwig sadder for you?
Yeah, Hedwig.
Yeah.
Because it's just, it's like his pet, even though he didn't treat it well.
Yeah, I know.
But it was always with him.
Yeah.
Moody wasn't.
And yeah, Hedwig was always like, Hedwig was always
Moody.
with him. Huh?
We didn't really know Moody. We only knew fake Moody.
I know. We kind of liked Fake Moody.
I know. He was a great teacher. Fake Moody was a great teacher.
So
But
Hedwig gotcha.
yeah. But then I think it's bad for them as a whole, as a group. The good versus evil. Like they're
Great point.
captain, warrior. Like what's the plan now?
Yeah, right. Who's in charge now? I don't know if Moody was actually in charge, but it felt like he was.
He was.
He was making plans.
I feel like he had the most experience with the worst case
Yeah,
scenarios.
you're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
And
'Cause-
so did Dumbledore.
Exactly. Yeah. And who someone even says that. I forgot who says this, but they went after the strongest first,
Yes.
which is Moody, and then
Yep.
that's why they went after Kingsley next, because Kingsley was the next strongest.
Wow.
So Moody definitely seemed like he was kind of the leader of the Order at that time. He was like making all the
wasn't
plans.
he
for
saying,
it.
yeah, the plans, like
Yeah.
the game plan. Which is funny because when you ask like who he should go with, we're like the rankings of it.
Yeah.
And
We'll
then
ask
we're
again.
like, isn't Hagrid obvious choice? But obviously no.
I know. And when you see everyone like splayed out there, Hagrid is low down the list.
Yeah.
Harry doesn't even want to go with Hagrid all that much.
And Hagrid nearly cost them everything.
Yeah.
He's whipping out the umbrella. I got this Reparo.
oh my goodness.
Like, Hagrid, no.
What are you doing?
Have you ever done a successful spell? Goodness, don't do this. No, I guess even with when he turned Dudley into a pig, he gave him the tail.
Yeah.
He didn't actually work.
Yeah. Yep.
So have we ever seen Hagrid do a successful spell? Ooh. He's not self-aware.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
I'll spoil one thing in the movies because it's not really spoilers if it's the movies. But they changed the Hedwig scene slightly in the movies where Harry lets her free. She doesn't die in the cage.
Ooh, so good.
It's actually kind of a good change. And the reason that the Death Eaters know that it's Harry isn't because of Expelliarmus, which is a significant change to me.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Because him not doing that is like he's saving other people Harry is like being compassionate.
Yes.
That's why they know it's Harry. Rather than this, which Hedwig tries to knock a Death Eater off the broom and then flies and then takes a killing curse that's aimed at Harry, which is a really beautiful
that's
thing.
epic.
So
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
actually
yeah.
it's actually pretty moving in the movies, but it's very,
Yep.
very different. And it sends like a little bit different of a message. And that's how the Death Eaters know. That's why Voldemort comes after, because Hedwig was the one protecting Harry.
That's cute.
I know, it is kind of cute. So we'll see that. We'll see that maybe in a year or two.
yeah. And we're going to be watching 3 movies back to back.
I know, it's gonna be great.
Pretty sweet.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, we haven't seen him.
Yeah, we were talking about what is the spoiler in book 6 movie that we cannot
It's
see.
small. To be honest, if I go out back on that, I'm like, if we watched it, I don't even know if you guys would have caught it. But it's just a little bit too much where I'm like, you guys are such detectives that I didn't trust.
Yeah.
I didn't trust the movie with this. I was like, you guys will figure something out.
Probably. We got
but-
Crouch Jr.
I know, exactly.
Kind of. Yeah.
I mean, kind of. We did.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, go us.
We didn't know a junior existed, so it was the best.
Best we could do under the circumstances.
Yeah. But anyway, welcome to the podcast. I'm John,
Jen.
Danny.
And Kristen.
and this is Harry Potter and the First Time Readers. Go give us a rating. Go give us a review. That helps the podcast. We just won both of our copyright strikes or our copyright infringement issues, but then we just got another one this morning. So frustrating dealing with all these, but this is why our content sometimes is getting shadow banned. And a good review, a good spread of the word really helps the podcast out. A lot of the people that find this podcast just find it by looking up something on either YouTube or on their podcast platform on Spotify or Apple or wherever they're listening to podcasts. So that's probably the biggest way that people find us, but just word of mouth and like telling your friends about this podcast and giving us good ratings and reviews. That also goes a long way. We're doing all sorts of content on YouTube. I'm doing a whole rewatch of the movies. I'm on the 4th movie right now, about to hit the 5th movie. So if you want to join us and watch some movies with us, they're all on our YouTube channel. I'm playing Hogwarts Legacy on our YouTube channel if you want to join and just kind of hang out as I play the game. It's pretty fun. You can join us there. So our YouTube channel is First Timers or First Time Readers. I just had to rename it just to get the Harry Potter out, just in case that was the thing that was causing copyright infringement. But it's really not. But I'm just kind of covering all my bases. So go subscribe to us on YouTube. That is a great way that you can support us. You can become a member on YouTube for $5 a month. We'll get you a little extra content as we go on throughout the podcast journey and throughout more seasons. We're planning more seasons, so we're really excited about that. We have an Instagram, we have Twitter, we have all the other stuff. We have a Patreon if you want to support us on Patreon. We have a P.O. Box, which is P.O. Box 474, Hawthorne, New Jersey, 07507. You can send it to us any snail mail that you want there. You can send us any packages if you want to send Jen and Danny some
wedding gift after their wedding. They would probably love that. So you can send me any of that kind of stuff. You can also email us at firsttimereaders@gmail.com. I think that's pretty much it. I always forget if I included something or forgot something. But yeah, we're dealing with all sorts of copyright issues, copyright battles. So go support this podcast in any way that you can and spread the word. We would love to be able to do this full time and get more Harry Potter content, all sorts of other nerd content too. We're starting to maybe consider getting into Star Wars and Lord of the Rings and some Percy Jackson, maybe some other different series too. We're even thinking about getting into some like old English, Dickens and Jane Austen, that kind of stuff. So we're exploring all possible boundaries. So go support us on YouTube. That would be the best thing that you can do to try to make this become more of a full-time gig for all of us, which would be incredible. That'd be sweet. So enjoy these chapters as we go through Deathly Hallows chapters 4 and 5.
Forgot about that.
Yeah. Such a riveting intro.
I know.
Forgot it was the intro.
Okay, can you guys give me a summary of the 7 Potters chapter? There was a lot in this chapter, but just a general summary of this one.
Oh boy, everybody turns into Harry Potter.
There you go.
That's what I got.
Yep. And then this chapter, this is the one that ends with Hagrid falling. So they actually leave in this chapter too. So it's like prepping to leave the Dursleys and leaving and starting to fly.
Yeah. All right. First question, because you guys were, even Jen had a really good theory on this, and she was pretty much right on this. But when you read the 7 Potters title of this chapter, what did you initially think it was talking about?
I was excited about cousins coming in.
Cousins.
Well, when I hear 7, I'm just like, Horcruxes, what's going on? And then I saw Potters, and then I was thinking, how many of his family members are going to come help?
Yeah.
And then I'm looking at the picture, and I'm like, they must be cousins if they all look like him. And then I think when Jen was saying it, then I was like, 7 of Harry. That makes sense. I thought it was clones.
Yeah.
But I thought that was cute that everyone gets to become him. So, yeah.
Yeah, it really is.
Did you know right away, Jen?
No, I just assumed it because I'm good.
Excellent instincts.
Yeah.
It would have really thrown them off if all the Death Eaters wouldn't have been able to get Harry's DNA, actually the blood. So maybe they would have been able to. If they got his DNA and like really did a number on Harry. There's a bunch of Harrys just floating around the sky waiting to kill Harry.
Yikes. Yikes.
I feel like he
That
was
would've been
so
intense.
self-conscious, everyone turning into him.
Yeah.
Yeah, nobody like looked in his pants or anything, but it's still
Is that what you were thinking about?
the giggler over here. But he did say that. He said,
I was like, I want you to
I would not
explain
have
what
thought of it at all, but she writes a line in there that
'Cause-
makes you
yeah.
think like that.
well, yeah, because she said, like, from Harry's perspective, Harry's like, nobody else seemed quite as concerned about his privacy as he was because they're all in someone else's skin. So they're like, yeah, I'll just get naked here. I mean, not like they were like actually stripping all the way
That's what
down,
I'm saying.
but it gave that funny moment of like, wow, that is a weird dynamic. That he's watching himself get changed as other people are
Yeah.
getting changed.
And there's like
It's
a
funny.
slight dig that Floor gives because she's changing and she goes, I'm hideous. Bill, turn away. I'm hideous. And Harry's like,
Excuse me.
what the heck? That's a jerk thing to say.
I didn't know you could churn like fully. Never mind. I don't want to get this.
And then
Anatomy.
Hermione's saying how bad his eyes are. Like, oh, your
Yeah.
eyes are terrible when she puts on his glasses.
Oh,
so,
I missed that.
yeah.
Yeah, I was probably trying to follow you, and you're like writing all
Scribbling
your
frantically.
notes.
And then Ron's like, oh, you don't have a tattoo on your chest.
Yeah,
Which
that one was weird though.
It's just such a weird thing.
He
Like, you've-
changes.
Yeah, you've never seen Harry change in your entire 6 years in Hogwarts.
How? It's impossible. It's ridiculous.
Actually impossible.
Well, you know what I also thought, though? Maybe wizards change in better ways. Because maybe you just like do a little spell, you
I don't
twirl,
know.
and then you're changed.
I don't know about that. There's a common thing that wizards didn't really invent toilets or use toilets for a long time. They just pooped in
Right.
their pants and took the poop out of their pants with magic. So you're like, if they don't even poop in toilets, you're like, how the heck are they going to change any better than
Right, right.
like,
So somehow Ron has not ever seen Harry. So maybe, well, I don't know. It's just a weird dynamic.
Harry's never showered or never changed in Ron's sight, which is just wild. There's some really great lines to start this chapter. Like when he's looking in his little wardrobe cupboard under the stairs, it says he gave him an odd, empty feeling to remember those times. It was like remembering a younger brother whom he had lost. And then it says, Harry looked around at the stacked shoes and umbrellas, remembering how he used to wake up every morning looking up at the underside of the stairs, which is more often than not adorned with a spider or two.
Boom. Spider spies.
Little drone spider pilots.
Spider spies?
Yeah. That's what I wrote when I saw that. I was like, you know what? Maybe Hagrid or Dumbledore sent some of, what's his name? Aragog?
Yeah, Aragog spiders.
Aragog spiders over there to keep an eye on Harry. They're perfect. They
Yeah.
can just blend right in, send notice back to their people, and then I don't know, just seeing the spiders here and the spiders on Dumbledore's hat and all that. It'd be funny if there was some connection with spiders.
Do you view spiders as more positive or negative, like good or bad creatures?
I don't know. In general, it seems like they are definitely bad. Aragog has loyalty to Hagrid and I think
dead.
Dumbledore.
Yeah.
But now that Aragog is dead is different. But back in the day, maybe their loyalty was even stronger. So I get the impression that when Aragog was young and Hagrid was the whole Chamber of Secrets drama, I feel like there was a lot of loyalty. And then as time went on, maybe Aragog got old and grumpy and some of that loyalty maybe faded because Hagrid was remembering the good old days, being optimistic, seeing the best of things. Oh yeah, Ron, Harry, why don't you just run into the forest? Totally safe. And then meanwhile, it would have gotten them killed if they were not
for
on their
sure.
toes. Yeah. So it makes me think back in the day, more loyalty Aragog had. And now, he can't control all of his offspring.
For sure.
But maybe.
These are maybe two spies.
Maybe spider spies.
You need to write books, Danny.
He's getting the fanfic already.
He's
Yeah,
gonna
yeah,
have a spinoff. So.
That'll be part of season 3. When I'm reading through it a second time, I'll really look for those spots for
exactly.
fan fiction.
And then this line keeps going. It says, those had been the days before he had known about anything about his true identity, before he had found out how his parents had died, or why such strange things often happened around him. But Harry could still remember the dreams that had dogged him. Even in those days, confused dreams involving flashes of green light. And once, Uncle Vernon had nearly crashed a car when Harry had recorded it, a flying motorbike. I love that Harry is like kind of ushered into the world on this motorbike, and he's ushered out of like his childhood with the motorbike as well. But what about this flash of green light? What do you? I mean, we've talked about this a little bit before, but do you have any confirmations or theories about that? Because we've talked about that being like the green light or something like that,
Yeah,
a traffic
so
accident or
unforgivable
Avada Kedavra.
curses are green light,
Yeah.
right? And it seems like green is a Voldemort thing.
Yeah.
So stupefy seems to be a red light.
Yeah. I don't know if
so-
all unforgivable are green. I think Avada Kedavra is
Kedavra,
green. I
yeah.
don't know about the other two.
The only other thing we know is Harry's green eyes, and green is the color of flu powder movement. So in my mind, this means either a confirmation of Harry when he was very young in the flu network, which would be some kind of conspiracy about like where his parents died and where he died and moving around in there. I don't know why that would mean anything, but some kind of move, do something different, something to change locations to confuse somebody. I don't know. Or it's Harry actually remembering the light that killed his parents.
Yeah.
And so
It's probably that one.
yeah, I'm a little confused though on the Uncle Vernon had nearly crashed the car when Harry had recounted it. Like that feels weird to me. Uncle Vernon crashed the car when he recounted it. Like it also feels weird that Harry is recounting it to Uncle Vern. But then like, does Uncle Vern know more than we think he does? And did that like trigger him? I don't know.
They did know because they made a promise to take him but not do anything. So he has to know. But I think the fact that it's becoming real to Harry, like, oh, they thought they could just hide him from the world, but then they can't because things keep happening. And if he's recalling something, then it's like, who can explain that?
And a dream of him being 1 year old. Who remembers when they're 1?
For sure.
So
But that could
there's
be
something
magical.
magical.
There's something
yeah,
magical.
No,
about
but
that.
if it's something traumatic, I think you would remember, even if you were 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually true. I feel like,
I feel like there's got to be some child psychology studies out there about something that like that.
Yeah.
Like you remember certain occurrences if they're super traumatic like that, even before you can really fully remember certain things.
Yep. even if it was just like for him, the color green.
Yeah.
You know, just reminds him of that. And so, yeah, if he's thinking about that when he's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and he's always just associating green with like these weird memories. Yeah, could be.
But it is lovely too when everyone comes and Harry like truly sees all his friends and all these people that came out to support him, and he's so unexpected. Like he's blown away by this. It says Harry's heart seemed to expand and glow at the sight. He felt incredibly fond of all of them, even Mundungus, whom he had tried to strangle the last time they had met. And this is where we learn Lupin and Tonks getting married. So what do you think of them
Nice.
wedding?
I like it.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm glad Lupin shaped up. And finally caved. Because I think he was being a little silly. It was noble, but it was a little silly.
For sure, yeah.
So, yeah, why not?
This is where we talked about dating for a while with Lupin and Tonks. This is an interesting question because they're 12 years apart, right? Or ish.
Yep. But in the wizarding world, even in the real world, what's 12 years?
And he's part werewolf.
Yeah. But she can...
The look on your face when you said that too. It's part werewolf.
But she can morph
Which
Magus
one's
into
worse,
a werewolf.
12 years or werewolf? I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess it depends who the girl is.
It's true. But no, I'm glad. I think it was cute.
I feel like I never... It's like whatever because you don't see Tonks' personality enough to know, or them together. So for me,
Yeah, we
it's
don't
like,
see them
oh,
together.
that's great for them. But like, I couldn't have pictured them together because they never talked about them together or
for sure.
had any
There's never
instances where they were interacting together.
Yeah. There's never really been like plot or development for them. It's just been like a side story where Harry learns more information about it every once in a while.
So it's like,
Yeah.
But I do know I like both of them.
Yeah, for sure.
yeah.
They're both like very refreshing. The only thing that it feels like the age difference is apparent. Like I think of Lupin as being 12 years older. And so I think that was the only part where it was a little bit funny at first. But no, it makes sense. I think it's cool. But it'll be cool to see them together a little bit. Wait, whose wedding is this? Now this is going to be Bill and Flora's wedding.
Bill and Flora's wedding.
And they're already married. Lupin and Tonks are...
Lupin and Tonks are
Okay,
already
yeah.
married, yeah.
Bill, was he part? He was one escorting.
And Flora was Harry,
Yeah.
who was Idius.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No, I was just curious if he did Polyjuice, if he still would have the scar on his face.
Yeah, that's actually a fascinating
wow,
question.
you're right.
I think we talked about that a little while ago, whether... This is getting excited about something. Whether if you take Polyjuice potion, if it goes back to like your uninjured self, like you have no scars or anything like that, or if it's your current self. I guess it depends on the DNA that you take, maybe. But
I'm thinking
a fascinating
if someone
question.
took Bill's Polyjuice, I don't know if the scar would show because it's a magical wound. But I'm thinking if Bill took Polyjuice, the scar would show on Harry's face because it's a magical
It's
scar.
dark magic. That's what I was thinking too.
interesting.
So then I was like, wait, was he one that turned? Did they show this in the story?
And Moody didn't use Polyjuice, but and we were discussing it because Barty Crouch Jr., when he used Polyjuice to look like Moody, did it turn him into the scarred Moody that we know?
Yeah.
Or did he have to do some makeup magic, whatever stuff
yeah,
afterwards?
that's true. We did talk about this during that time.
Yeah. And so I think because of that, I'm assuming the simpler version would be that if your wounds cannot be healed by a healer, Madame Pomfrey or somebody, then it's because they're magical and you're kind of stuck with them and there's some magical connection to like who you are. So then if someone took your Polyjuice, the wounds would show.
But you just said that Bill's wouldn't.
No, I wasn't sure if his scars would show if
doesn't
someone took
matter.
Polyjuice. But now I think yes. I think they would. I think if someone took a Polyjuice of Bill, like Bill's hair, I think the scar would show. Although hair's a weird one since it grows out. So if they cut the length of the hair at the end, they could look like original Bill. But the fresh hair that's
depends on where you
growing
take
now would be...
That's great.
Anyway.
Oh boy.
Sorry.
So this is another one, and it says, so this time, and I think Moody is talking here, so this time when you leave, there will be no going back, and the charm will break the moment that you get outside its range. We're choosing to break it early, because the alternative is waiting for you-know-who to come and seize you the moment you turn 17. So all these people come, and they take Harry and this whole 7 Potters plan. What would your guys' plan be to get Harry out? Do you think this is a good plan? Even Jen, you were mentioning during the live read, which is just ridiculous to me, how there was no security checks when they all came. Like Harry just welcomed them with open arms. Yeah. And like, yeah, there's a bunch of them. It'd be hard to replicate any of them like that significantly, but still.
Why not? It's
I know.
The worst time.
100% agreed. Or then they're not even checking if this is the real Harry too, to be honest. Which I guess it has to be because there's some kind of protective charm over the house, but still. It's a little alarming.
Yeah.
But what would your guys' plan be to get Harry out?
I'm assuming we're going to take their word for it with the Flu Network and Apparition and say, cool, that is not an option. It feels like they should be trying to figure out a way to make that an option instead of going through all this, but let's, take their word for it.
Yeah, I guess though it's interesting because I think this would have been the best plan if no one knew.
Yeah.
So now if you're asking us if we knew that the Death Eaters were there, what would we have done differently?
Yeah.
Because I think that was the best way of doing it.
Well, what we do know is they're even Moody. So he was sloppy. He's yelling out, "Meet you guys at the burrow!" When they're leaving. Like it just makes no sense. And I think if they were being just as cavalier with their plan earlier on, then that's where this trouble came from. We know that the twins had the extendable ear when they were listening to the order in that other book. So now listening is a thing. We know the omnioculars, you can zoom in and slow down and repeat things. You could just read lips. So what I'm saying is anything spoken out loud is not safe. We know that pictures can share things to other pictures, and we know you can be in the Flu Network listening. So are they talking near a fireplace or near a picture or near anything where they're visible from the outside by a window? So in my mind, that was the biggest flaw in the plan. And a good way of avoiding that would be just being more careful with their planning from the beginning.
I think having so many people too, it's like then it becomes obvious.
Yeah.
So many people to follow, and you could just.
And that's where I feel like Moody should have had a real backup from the beginning, and it literally would have been safest for Moody to stay with Harry, and then let everyone go out, everyone thinking one thing is the plan, and then he personally does something different that he never even spoke to anyone else. And even the people involved wouldn't know who the real Harry was. Like even you do musical chairs with the Harrys. All 7 of them go into another room, they switch around, and they come back out to pick a random partner. Like randomize this so that even the people involved don't know who the real Harry is. And then just like let everyone go and have Moody have some way of knowing that he can stick with the real Harry, or truly let it be random so they literally don't know. I don't know, something to protect from a mole. Because that's what they're afraid of now, a mole.
Yeah, but they didn't know that before. Yeah, right?
That's a very lacking of trust in this whole thing for sure.
Once you see Snape go bad, you have to trust that moles got in once, they can get in again. Why are you trusting Mundungus at all? And just trust that with Polyjuice, with all these clever methods, you can't trust people. With the Imperious Curse, you have to just account for any weird curveball of people being bad. So that's why I think Moody should have done something different. I also don't like that they flew up into the open sky.
Yeah.
There's not enough you can do up there. In my mind, risk it with the muggles, whatever, and fly low. Be on the ground, all of you, separate directions at ground level, weaving in and out of houses, street level, whatever. Or even use muggle transportation and just try and blend in with muggles. I feel like that would be a safer bet than trying
just
to
take
like
public
fly
transportation somewhere.
Because they're on the lookout for people flying. There aren't so many things going on in the sky. Oh, it's a goose, it's a plane. There's a dude on a broom, So I would say blending in with other people, being out in the muggle world seems safer than what they tried to do.
They could have done Polyjuice as strangers. Grab a bunch of strangers.
Seriously, that would have been brilliant. Yeah.
Polyjuice.
You're right. They have the
and
Polyjuice.
Walk out. That would have been great.
So I just thought things like just good old classic things like that. We know that the twins developed those, what was it, like smoke disillusionment, like black smoke, something. I'm like,
Peruvian instant
load
darkness
up on
powder.
those. You blast the whole neighborhood in all these things. It's going to be a big pile of black smoke. And then you have 7 Harrys popping out of the smoke in 7 different directions. And then you just like go from there. Like, I'm like, either way, it just felt like their plan was a good step 1.
Yeah.
But to have a real good plan, it's like that little shell game, you know? You got to be playing the shell game better. So starting with 7 shells, great. But there's got to be a next layer to it.
Yeah.
And it feels like they only did the
100%
first step.
agreed.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I feel like Hedwig would have given Harry away.
Yeah.
Yep.
But they had
It's
stuffed.
so little, but like
They had stuffed owls though. Everyone
they
wrote
did.
it with stuffed owl.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a
because
it's a
I missed
small
it.
little thing.
I missed it too.
because
Yeah.
I was like, I'm reading it.
Yeah.
I'm like, obviously the one with Hedwig.
Yeah, for sure.
If
Yeah.
Harry does have Hedwig.
And maybe that's why Hedwig had to stay in the cage
Mm-hmm.
because then the stuffed owls would look like Hedwig and they can't let Hedwig out. But even then, I'm like, you're going with the stuffed. Why not just buy 6 more real snowy owls?
Why couldn't
Yeah,
they have just
agreed.
left her loose in the house
Agreed.
and then you say in a day, come
Yep.
find
Yeah.
me?
Like
Yep.
when the Dursleys open the door, Hedwig flies out and then she's free and finds Harry and it's great.
Mhm.
Their
And
plan
then
with Hedwig
he
was
could
terrible.
have had a stuffed animal one. Also.
Yeah, agreed.
right.
So sad because
I
that
know.
wasn't fair. Just using a cage.
There's no, I know. There's no reason for her to do
Another
that.
thing that I was thinking though is Hagrid with all his magical creatures. I'm sure there's a ton of creatures they could have all like gone on or had protection from. Like what's the one Buckbeak? I'm
Yeah.
like, why don't you
Yeah.
have a
hop on
ton
a
of
hippogriff
those?
and,
And then like at least they could be flying next to them
Yeah, for sure.
as like bodyguards.
Even
Yeah,
why
you're
did
right.
the bodyguards take Polyjuice potion of Harry?
Why not?
Like
You're
that's
right.
that's like the second layer. Like the whole idea of all the layers on this, like all implement that. So even all the protectors are Harry. So it
Yes,
makes it even
you're
more
right.
confusing because they wouldn't know who Moody is. They wouldn't know who
You're right.
Hagrid is. Well, Hagrid actually that's probably the reason why they couldn't take it because Hagrid couldn't take it because he was half giant
Yeah, but he could just be the only one.
for sure.
What's the
yeah.
difference?
Yep.
Uh-huh. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. And even to Jen's point, like they should have added other creatures. Like why didn't they bring like why didn't they ride off in dragons? Yeah, exactly. It's a great.
And then I was like, unicorns.
Yeah, get Charlie to bring Norbert back.
for sure.
and-
All this stuff.
Ugh.
I was like, there's so many creatures that we don't even know about.
I know.
And he also crossbred creatures, like all these crazy things.
The blast and screws, yeah. Although they did
Yeah,
bring
you're
Thestrals,
right.
and Thestrals are probably the best plan that they have.
True.
If I was riding on something, I would probably want to be a Thestral because they're so fast. They have a great sense of direction.
Yep.
Like, they're better than most of the other creatures. That
And they're
probably
independent.
brought.
They have independent thought too, so you can tell them things,
Intuition,
and they can follow a plan. And you say, "Hey, also while I'm trying to dodge, you try and dodge this stuff." That way, it's like they're the ones steering, and you can just focus on fighting. Otherwise, with a motorcycle with brooms, you still have to steer while you're trying to fend off
Yeah,
Death
but
Eaters.
I'm thinking of something that could like kill something else.
Yeah.
Like a Death Eater.
Seriously, like have even like Phoenix, like have Fox flying around or something.
Right.
Even
right.
though Fox is gone now.
But like, and I'm sure there's a ton of creatures we don't even know about.
Yeah.
That Hagrid would know.
Yeah.
And he went. That's why I just found it weird.
Yep.
Yeah. It feels like it wasn't. It wasn't a
Or they
thorough
could be
plan.
like on the ground. And if you see something go wrong, you come on and you attack those Death Eaters.
Yep.
I know. I feel like what's the Buckbeak's
Yeah.
breed? What is
A
that?
hippogriff.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like those would have been perfect.
Seriously, yeah. It's been great
Yeah,
protection.
you're
Because
right.
they would actually listen.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Agreed all around.
That could have been
guys.
full circle.
Yeah. Just it feels weird.
And you
They
guys
did
even
not-
mentioned something during the pod too, or during the live read that like the dung plan was good, but don't include dung in it. First of all, like I oddly trust him to come up with a good shady plan because he knows how to get in and out of
Yeah,
places.
you're
So I'm
right.
like, this maybe is a good plan, but this is the first layer. Then you incorporate Fred and George in it and be like, okay, what can you guys implement? Into
That
it?
Yep.
was a big mistake.
Like
You're right,
how
though,
there's
Lisa.
brilliant, and then even Mundungus
Mm-hmm.
or even Kingsley, like this guy's protecting the prime minister, the Muggle prime minister. You're like, this guy probably has some good ideas. What can
Yep.
he incorporate in it? It's like in book 1 when they incorporated all these teachers' different
Yes.
plans. They have to do something with that. It has to be layered. But maybe this is why they're not like Dumbledore came up with that idea. Maybe this is like showing that they're a little bit flatter without Dumbledore.
Yeah, you're
They're,
right.
Like not quite as in depth without Dumbledore.
They're not playing that 3D chess, you know?
Exactly.
Dumbledore was thinking a lot of steps ahead.
They're playing normal chess, not
they are
wizard's
not.
chess.
Yeah. They're almost playing checkers. It's so basic. No, it was a good thought. It just they didn't anticipate someone betraying them. And they all knew that, well, actually not betrayal. They all knew the Death Eaters knew their plan.
Yeah.
They still don't know how. We don't know how. But yeah.
I also wonder
Stinks.
if they should have timed like 2 at a time.
Yeah, agreed.
Still wouldn't know who was who.
Agreed.
Yeah, like if just 2 people left and they're
'Cause
like,
then
this is
you-
Harry, they would throw everything they could at it. And then the
They
next
would-
Harry goes off in a different way. And
No,
the next
but
one
then
in a
they
different
would
way.
warn the other ones, like, hey, there's something somewhere.
Yeah, you're right.
And then not everyone's lives would be at risk.
Mm.
Well, they probably still would go up, but at least they'd be prepared.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Felt too simple.
Yep. There's some other funny ones when they're changing. It says from inside his cloak, Moody now withdrew a flask of what looked like mud. There was no need for him to say another word. Harry understood the rest of the plan immediately. No, he said loudly, his voice ringing through the kitchen. No way. I told them you'd take it like this, said Hermione with a hint of complacency. If you think I'm going to let 6 people risk their lives, because it's the first time for all of us, said Ron. This is different. Pretending to be me. Well, none of us really fancy it, Harry, said Fred earnestly. Imagine if something went wrong, we were all stuck as a specky, scrawny gits forever. Harry did not smile.
That was funny.
Yeah, it goes on, which is like another funny little thing. They might, Moody says this, they might not be able to get at your house while your mother's charm holds, but it's about to break, and they know the rough position of the place. Our only chance is to use decoys. Even you-know-who can't split himself into 7. Harry caught Hermione's eye and looked away at once. So, Potter,
missed that.
some of your hair, if you please. So, there's always this question. Why doesn't Harry talk to the other people about Voldemort splitting himself into 7?
I thought Dumbledore said not to.
But why does Dumbledore say not to?
Because he's afraid of a mole.
I think the element of surprise must be really important in this. And he's hoping that Voldemort doesn't know
That people know.
that people know.
Because if that gets out, then he's going to double protect.
Yeah, because then he would just go and get one of the Horcruxes and protect it personally. Or maybe he's already doing that, but he would do something to switch it up. Or he would just go check on the Horcruxes and see that
just the
RAB already took care of one. And so it's better to just like let Voldemort kind of forget
I
about
hope he
it.
took care of all of them, to be honest.
Yeah, how many more could he have taken care of? He just goes through and starts taking care of a bunch.
It just seems like a lost cause because I was like, I still think if Dumbledore could barely do it, how the heck is Harry supposed to do this?
for sure.
Yep.
For sure.
And how did
a
RAB
great
do
point.
it when Dumbledore needed Harry and with the boat?
I know
only big
RB
enough
seemed to
for-
do it like no big deal, just in and out.
And he's being all playful, writing little notes as he leaves. Meanwhile, Harry and Dumbledore are fighting for their very lives. And so it just felt funny, like RAB was crushing it.
But that's what makes me think like maybe that person was on the dark side and then like left because maybe he
Right.
knows tricks
He knows. Yeah, that is
of
fair.
the dark magic that like maybe Dumbledore wouldn't know.
That's why I want Harry to find him. And I want him to still be alive and able to help Harry guide
Why
him through.
can't he ask like the Order of the Phoenix, hey guys, does anyone know who this is?
Yeah, he definitely should. In a clever way. He's not good at being clever.
I know.
Neither is Hermione. I'm just thinking of when
Ron.
she went into the
Ron
Morgan
can
and
do it,
Burke's and
maybe.
was like asking questions and it
Yeah,
was
that
so
was
obvious.
so annoying.
If they could find a clever way of asking, or I don't know, let the twins in on it, and then we trust the kids, we don't trust the adults.
Yeah. So even going back to the RAB thing, when you are trying to get this Horcrux in a cave, you seem to need 2 people. RAB didn't seem to need 2 people. Because it was only him. Or is this guy a little bit more shady than we think? Because did someone die in the cave and he just is like, okay,
sacrificed
with that? And
someone.
yeah.
And I feel like that's where you
That's why I think
sometimes you
he's
might
from the
need a
dark
dark
side.
vigilante. You know, someone who's willing to do things that Harry isn't. If Harry was willing to kill Stan, he would have gotten away. And if Hagrid died because of that little bit, or anyone else died for that matter, like Harry wanted to save Stan. That's great. But that genuinely could have cost someone their life.
Yep.
And this is another thing where it's a terrible way of saying it, but RAB might just be looking at it like Voldemort, killing him is more important than anything else because every second he's alive is a risk to all of humanity. So if one person has to die for this, it's okay. And maybe he imperious
For the
someone.
greater good,
The
Danny.
greater good. This is the start of my dark
here's
storyline. But it's just what I'm thinking is, what if he gets a Death Eater and he actually captured someone we would think is evil and brought them in under the
what I was
Imperious
gonna
curse
say.
to drink the thing. Oh, sorry, Jen. It's better than him capturing some innocent villager and being like, drink this thing and die.
If
Moving
he's,
on.
if he's truly pure, do you actually think that he brought someone else in and maybe just didn't know the plan and the person accidentally died? Do you think maybe he himself drank the poison just on his own and was able to just muscle his way through it? Like, do you think he had any help?
I did not think he had help.
I didn't either till right now.
But I was thinking he knew a little sneaky workaround. Like, these are riddles that can be solved.
Yeah.
And Dumbledore, instead of wandering through this riddle maze, he just plowed through the walls, you know? Like, this was the brute force approach in my mind. But I do feel like my instinct was RAB found a better way with a little more finesse to get through.
So
My
he
turn?
just.
It's always your turn.
I thought I'm
Just
waiting for
say-
Jen to
yeah,
say.
like,
I feel like there was some ancient magic involved.
yeah.
No, I wasn't actually going to say that yet.
Yeah, oh, nice.
No, I was wondering if RAB was actually like a right hand man or left hand man, where like Snape was obviously close with Voldemort, but I wondered if RAB was as close and he was following along and helping set up this Horcruxes, or was he secretive about this? Because I don't know. I know not all the Death Eaters know about
Right.
it, but maybe some of them did that were close to him, and maybe they helped set it up too. So maybe he was an insider person that turned on him. And then that
Yeah.
would explain how he could do things on his own.
Yeah.
Or he
Finally.
could also bring someone like a Bellatrix level in and kill them during the thing.
That's fair.
Man.
And be assuming it is Regulus, because that's what we're thinking, that is the best theory. That would make sense because he was a Death Eater and he turned good. So imagine he was good most of that time or the whole time. And like you're saying, Voldemort says, go put this Horcrux here, do this thing. And he's like, yep, sure thing. But he never even puts the Horcrux there. He just puts a little note saying, gotcha. And then he destroys the Horcrux on the side.
That'd be
And he
cool,
could have
too.
done that for multiple Horcruxes.
Because he had Malfoy holding on to one of them,
Yep.
right? So what would it would make sense that he had other people.
Yeah.
They didn't know what it was,
But
but maybe some smart people knew.
Yep. Maybe Regulus did know.
I like that theory.
Yeah, that is the best theory, I think.
We're gonna find out. We're
Yeah.
totally wrong.
You guys are way off, but I'm just
Way
going to let you
off.
guys go on these theories.
McGonagall is Harry's grandmother.
Yes, indeed.
That's
Still
still
possible.
good. Yeah, that's still a great theory.
Yeah.
Harry's the Polyjuice potion, it turns a clear, bright gold when Harry drops his
Nice.
DNA.
That
into
feels
it.
good.
Yeah. Is there any significance to it? Because there's another thing that happens later in this chapter that I want to talk about. Maybe we'll talk about now. But when Harry, his wand involuntarily pops up and finds Voldemort, it's a gold spell that comes out of it.
Pretty intense.
What the heck is that?
Ancient magic.
There it is.
Yay!
I'm baiting you. Now I'm just baiting you to say
For
it.
all those playing the drinking game at home, take a drink. Yeah, that was cool. What does the gold mean? We've never really seen gold like that before, right? No golden spells.
You would know. You're the one that takes notes.
Yeah. I don't think we have, but it's possible. No, I don't think so.
Does it have anything to do with like turning of age for him?
I don't think he's quite there yet because they left early. So I
Yeah.
think we're still a few days from his
Yeah, but
birthday.
it's like puberty. He's like changing.
Yeah.
Changing. Yeah, maybe, but still gold is significant. And I was thinking that when they did the
Okay,
Polyjuice,
just dismiss.
when they did the Polyjuice for Crabbe and Goyle, I don't remember. And Hermione was an amateur compared to Moody, I'm sure. But that Polyjuice was sludge. It was like mud. It was not pretty, right? And this is gold. It's like a good looking Polyjuice. So is that an indication of Harry's character? Or like the type of person you're going to become? Like if you're becoming someone evil, it's black. If
Oh,
you're
they
becoming
became
someone good,
sludge.
it's gold.
Yeah.
Well, because they were Crab and Goyle, right?
Yeah. They were like,
Yeah,
gross.
exactly. So that's what I'm saying. Like that was
like
maybe
mud.
a really gross Polyjuice, and maybe Hermione
That's
didn't know what she
funny.
was doing. She did end up turning into a cat. I
Yeah.
forget all the situation there, but
That was the funniest meme that you sent me. I was dying with Beauty and the Beast and Belle, and all of a sudden
Oh,
it's
what
Hermione as a
child
cat.
is that cat from Harry
That was so funny. It's their child.
yep,
And when I first glanced, I was like, "What is this?" I was like, "Oh my god!"
that's funny.
But yeah, I even love the line where Hermione goes, Harry, you look much more tasty than Crab and Goyle, or she says something like that, and
Yeah,
Ron
yeah.
gives
Oh,
like a
gold.
scowling look at Hermione. It's so funny. I do love in the midst of how serious this is, that there's so many good little light moments of like Fred and George cracking jokes, of even like Fleur saying, "Oh, I'm hideous, Bill, turn away." You're like laughing at certain parts that happen, but then it's just so intense for certain
Yeah.
things. She's so good at just changing the tune. Out of all the people who are guarding, who would you want as your guard? Out of these 7 people. So we have Hagrid, we have Bill, Mr. Weasley, Tonks,
Moody and Kings.
Lupin, Moody, and Kingsley. Right?
Yeah.
That's 8. I did 8. Hold on. Tonks, Lupin, Hagrid, Bill. No. Yeah, Bill.
Yeah, Tonks, Lupin, Hagrid,
Bill,
Bill,
Mr.
Moody,
Weasley,
Mr. Weasley,
Moody, Kingsley.
and
Hagrid.
Kingsley.
Oh, you said Hagrid.
Yeah.
And
There
so
you go.
both of the twins were Harry's,
Yeah.
not guards. Because I feel like the twins would be pretty good.
I know, seriously.
They're scrappy,
Yeah.
but they don't know as much as Moody or Kingsley.
Yeah, for sure.
I like those.
So it'd be
two.
hard to
Yeah.
pass on Moody or Kingsley.
And that's what the Death Eaters went after.
But if I was Harry, I feel like I'd want to workshop the plan. I feel like hearing the plan would still not give me the warm fuzzies. It didn't make me feel that comfortable in general.
But what was the original plan? Because remember when they were like, "Oh, it's not happening as original," and no one questioned it, and then they said Moody's coming later than this time. Remember
Yeah.
that? And I
Yep.
said, "Why is anyone questioning who
Yeah.
those people? I forget who they were that were taking his uncle and aunt."
Yeah, Daedalus and Hestia. They just showed up. They're like, the plan changed.
Yeah.
But what was that plan?
To just drive them outside of the boundary, like even outside of Surrey a little bit, and for them to just disapparate into a safe house. That's literally all you know about their plan. But it is weird that nothing was really confirmed. It's just 2 random people that Harry
Why
has really
couldn't it
never
have been
seen
a
before.
Stupid car. Then they could have had a car, put a charm on it, all get in the car, and they drive off.
Well, that's
Yeah.
kind of what they did. There might not have been a charm on it, but they drove off to a certain spot and then they
Yeah.
disapparated to the safe house.
But like,
Harry could have hopped in the trunk. And
Yeah,
just, like,
seriously, yeah.
don't even tell the Dursleys and just
that's
throw
so
him in there
dumb. I
secretly.
didn't even
And
realize
then,
that
Yeah.
was a plan.
Because
yeah, I don't know. It's just
you
so
even
funny.
have that. You remember when at the Ministry of Magic when they go, or not at the Ministry, at the Quidditch World Cup where they go into the tent and the tent
Yes,
is this
right.
massive thing. They could do that with something smaller like a suitcase. Put Harry, let him walk into the suitcase
But
where it's this
then-
big open room. Like
Wow,
he has
yeah.
tons of space. Put it in the trunk of a car, and then let it drive off.
Yep.
all the way into the countryside of
This
Great
would be
Britain, and then he just
ridiculous.
disapparates to the borough.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that's like the easiest plan.
And I feel like blending in.
But then who
like
changed
that
the
would be
plan?
better.
Because then I feel like whoever changed the plan was the one that was the mole.
Yeah, if there was a mole.
It was Dung's plan. That's what they were saying. Dung came up with a plan.
Mundungus,
Yeah, Dung Fletch.
which is also the one that got away.
Yep. But Harry's very adamant about this, and we'll talk about this in the next chapter, but he is adamant that no one gave it up willingly, that he thinks someone did it accidentally. Because
Yeah.
everyone's pointing the finger, and everyone's like starting to look
Oh,
at Hagrid, because
Hagrid.
Hagrid's real.
I feel like he said that to defend Hagrid, though,
Yeah.
not because he necessarily, because he hates Dung.
Yeah, it's true.
So I feel like it was more of just not, and he doesn't want everyone to fall apart.
Yeah.
Because that's what the Death Eaters and Voldemort would want. So I get it, but it is weird. But in this
But
magical
also,
world, I don't know.
like, I don't know, maybe there wasn't a mole because the 2 guys that are Voldemort and Snape can read anyone's mind.
Yeah. So could they be so good that they could read someone's mind
So-
sneakily,
Yeah.
or when they're sleeping, or like some other thing like that? Yeah. Hard to say.
Anyway,
Who would be the easiest to read their mind? That's actually another interesting one.
I feel like everyone's.
Yeah.
No one knows occlumency
Yeah.
out of that group.
Yep.
Dumbledore was barely good at it, right? To teach, he said Snape was. Well, I don't know.
So Dumbledore says he would actually be good at it, but he didn't want to train Harry at that moment because he knew too much information, and he didn't want like the connection that Voldemort had to be able to
Yeah.
figure something out that Dumbledore has.
Yeah.
He didn't want to like have
I
a
still
closer
can't believe
relationship.
Snape helped with things.
I know, it's absurd. But even like this is an unforgivable part. You're like, because it's funny when you guys, I think you mentioned 2 podcasts ago or last podcast, you're like, I still hope that Snape is like good, you know? But there's moments in that just like further confirm how evil he is. He's putting a killing curse on one of the twins, or the Sectum Semper one.
Yep.
To slice
Which is
him in
even
midair.
crazier.
Yeah.
Yep. It's like, I'm not trying to kill you with magic.
Yep.
I'm trying to kill you the old Muggle
Exactly.
way.
Yep.
Slicing you in half. It's nuts.
It's absurd that he does
And to
that.
be that close to the head, I mean, good thing he was paying attention. But that kind of spell seems so violent. It's like sending like a
That's the one that
razor
he
blade
did
at somebody.
to-
Yeah.
Malfoy.
Oh, Harry. Yeah. You're
Harry
right.
did the Malfoy.
I don't think he realized the power of it then.
Mm-hmm.
I hope he wouldn't have done it if he realized.
But
But
I also like you could just make up your own spells.
Yeah, I don't know how spell creation works. That's a really fascinating
Because-
discussion. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's probably some way that you can make it work, but this spell is like, it's not even just razor blades. It's like swords come and like slash you
Yeah.
across the body. So there must have been some kind of creation, and that's how you know Snape is even so weird, is that he's thinking of different ways to torture people through this. Like he's like inventing this spell that it's like swords come and like literally cut you, and you're
But
like,
then
okay, this
he
guy,
also has the antidote to it
yeah, for sure.
because he knows how to heal dark
Yep,
magic.
for
So Snape
sure.
could probably put the ear back on George.
Ooh, wow, that's a great question. Fascinating. You probably could.
very servant of the high priest, you know?
Yeah.
Put the ear back on, you know?
Oh, got it. I was like, I don't know where that's from.
I feel like he must have been sitting experimenting with all random words in, I'm just assuming Latin or something, and trying to find spells.
That's true. He had no friends, so that makes sense. Like he
Yeah.
just was with his books.
And to me, maybe that would be the kind of thing that would be highly controlled in the wizarding
is
world.
why he doesn't
Like even
bathe either.
the Latin or whatever else. It's like these are the fundamentals of spells. So that might be protected by the ministry or whoever else. But Snape somehow was able to get his hands on some hidden gems and then start experimenting with word combos.
Ugh. It's definitely more than just like you say a Latin word, because then, you know.
And you maybe have to line up the feelings
Yeah.
that you have and the emotion and certain wand movements.
harness it, yeah,
I feel
for
like
sure.
the wand movement isn't something that comes up in the book very much, but it's on the
Hogwarts Legacy is all over the place. You have to,
yeah,
like,
yeah,
figure out your
exactly.
spells
Like
by that.
in the video game or in the app for what was that thing where we did the house
Yeah,
test?
yeah,
Like
yeah.
wand movement seems to matter, even though it hasn't been referenced in the book yet. But that would make sense if
Yeah.
that was a part of it.
Agreed. Yeah, that makes sense. Who would, just quick, who would you guys want to guard you, though, out of the 7 people here? Did you say your answer?
Yeah. Mad-Eye Moody or
Yeah.
Kingsley.
Yeah.
Danny didn't say.
Yeah, those two are my top choice. I'd love to experiment with other people, but in the actual moment, if I feared for my life, I couldn't see myself picking anyone else.
Yeah,
it would
for
have
sure.
to be one of them.
Same.
Yeah. Yeah, other people would be good for different reasons. I'd be too distracted with Tonks, so I couldn't go with Tonks. I'm just kidding.
Respect.
And then there's all sorts of other
Flying
things.
on the magic carpet.
I think you have to pair Mr. Weasley up with one of his sons, because then he's going to fight a little bit harder.
Yep.
If you paired him up with like just a random, like Hermione, he would fight for sure, but like you have the fatherly instinct in him, so you have to pair him up with that. Like Bill is great, but you know he's an obvious choice with Fleur. Lupin is another interesting one. He's great. I feel like he's great theoretically as a teacher. In real life,
Yep.
I would probably choose Kingsley and Moody over both of them.
Or what if all the Harrys switched it up randomly and came back, and every person thought they were with the real Harry? So they're all fighting
Yeah.
for Harry in the moment.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that would actually make sense. But again, keeping the randomness so that even the people don't know which one is Harry.
Yeah, for sure.
Then let Hedwig go and call it a day.
But there
Could be
is a
good.
thing too where I think they're fighting for something because yes, they care about Harry and they want to protect Harry, but the people that they're fighting for currently that they're with, they care about. Like Mr.
Even
Weasley
more.
cares probably a little bit
Yeah,
more
you're right.
about Fred and George than he does about Harry, even though he really truly cares. There's got to be some like level your own son.
You're right.
Same thing. Bill probably he'd fight for
Yep.
Harry 100%, but he doesn't
Not as
know
much
Harry
as
that
Fleur.
well, but not as much as Flora.
Yeah, you're
Flora's
right,
like
you're
his
right.
girl. So
That's how you're
die
going to
for
get
that.
top
Right?
performance out of everyone.
Yeah.
Exactly. I'm thinking of Ocean's 12. Spoiler alert. Mute it if anyone's not. Where they're trying to move that egg, the really fancy egg. It's worth millions and millions or whatever it was. And then they had this whole elaborate thing where the museum was moving the egg and they kind of assume that it was all, they're doing a full front attack on this whole museum. And then they find out that it was actually being brought on a subway by a normal dude in a backpack as the distraction because all of the chaos. And I feel like that's what they should have done here, where during all of this, Harry could have already been in the trunk with the Dursleys, or better yet, just Polyjuice as a muggle, just walking down the street like an innocent person.
That would have been great.
I know.
Hopping on a bus, not the night bus, just a normal bus,
Yep.
and taking muggle transport, I feel like would have been better than anything else.
And Harry would know well, I was just thinking because some of them like don't understand the Muggle world, but
Harry
would.
does.
And
Yeah.
so would Hermione. The two
Yep.
of them could have went together.
Yep.
Yeah.
Agreed. Seriously, that'd been a
I
great
can picture
plan.
Harry just riding a horse through the countryside, you know?
to the
going
burrow.
to the burrow.
Bare naked.
I mean, I don't think so. but-
Jen's mind is that. I was thinking, wait, no.
He has to be. Like, I feel like that would draw some attention. All of a sudden, he's on the Muggle
I guess
news.
I meant bareback and
Yeah.
whatever. Both.
So they're both
because
bareback.
Oh, such a great
Daniel
slip.
Radcliffe, when he like one of his first things after he was like naked.
There's a Broadway
right?
play where he's naked or
that's
something.
it.
Yep. Bareback and
I think
bareback
that's where your mind went,
through
Jen.
the Muggle countryside.
Okay, so the plan is Harry, strip down, completely naked, get on this horse, and start riding away from Surrey. No one's gonna be able to tell it's you. Is
Nice plan.
I can't. So funny. Is Stan Shunpike actually a Death Eater?
At first, I thought yes, but then once they started listing people that were in Azkaban that are now a Death Eater, I feel like they probably are innocent, forced to do this.
Yeah, I'm not as loyal to Stan as Harry is. I think he's a little weird. And like,
Yeah, I don't know why he's sticking up for him so much.
Harry is so loyal to him. Like, in my mind, kind of to a fault. Because it wouldn't surprise me if he was a Death Eater.
Yeah.
But maybe he's more like Mundungus, where he's weird and awkward, but that doesn't make him evil. But I don't know. It did feel a little weird. I was like, Stan could be evil. Why are you so sure, Harry? You met him for like 5 minutes one time.
I don't know.
So I just feel like after you've been deceived by Snape, who was literally your teacher, how can you be
That
so
was
confident that some
trusted
random
by
stranger
Dumbledore?
is like, yeah, like, and then all of a sudden he's like, oh, Stan, I'll never betray Stan. Why are you so loyal to this random dude? I still understand his instincts and I like Harry for it. But I'm not as convinced as he is that Stan is innocent.
Yeah, for sure.
He might be.
Yeah.
But
might
also,
not
it's like, why couldn't he have done anything else? He could have. He didn't have to kill him. He probably can't even kill someone with his spells, Harry, because he doesn't want to kill anyone.
But why
That makes
Expelliarmus? Like, then
Expelliarmus
he's-
is, to me, it's the most logical option to do.
you think so? Instead of
Because-
like stupifiers? Oh, because then they'll die because they're so high
Ron
up.
stupefied someone and then Tonks had fell hundreds of feet to their death. So Ron's a
fair.
murderer now.
yeah.
And if Harry stupefies someone, like that's the thing. Like the Lupin is saying, like we're in war. You have to like take risks. You have to stupefy people, even if you think they're gonna die. Like that. This is the way forward. And Harry just wants to disarm him, so his wand is out. If he doesn't have his wand and he's flying on a broomstick, he can't really do anything.
Yeah.
So
I'm just
to me,
thinking,
that's
but
the
they're
most
with
logical
other
option.
Death Eaters, and then some other Death Eater who does have his wand, Accio wand, gets the wand, tosses his wand
Yeah.
back, and then like it doesn't do enough.
Great point.
You know, like then I'm just
great
thinking, at least if you stupefy, you're forcing the Death Eaters to decide between saving this person
Yeah.
or letting them fall, and either way, you're then down 1 or 2 Death Eaters that are chasing
This
you.
is why we love Harry, because he doesn't.
Yeah.
He knows that they're not going to make a choice, or that he knows that the choice that they would probably make as Death Eaters would be to not follow that person down and save them. That they're supposed to pursue Harry, and Harry's so like compassionate, even to people he doesn't. He thinks
gold.
are He
You're
are evil.
golden. Yeah, he's pretty golden.
Yeah.
Golden heart, and maybe that's why his Polyjuice is so pure, and maybe that's why his wand fights hard for him.
Yeah.
Even though that is weird.
Maybe that's why he could ride bare naked on a horse.
And no one would find him.
Yeah, no one would find him. He's gold.
Or chase him.
This is the scene that it was literally. I love that so much. That was so funny.
Are you picturing it?
Because I'm just picturing you in his first like out of like Harry Potter. He's like, I'm just gonna be naked. I can't picture it.
This is the line that we get when Harry says Expelliarmus.
Free flying.
Yep.
Sorry.
Yep.
This is the line we get when he says Expelliarmus. Harry felt the bike drop a little. Though the lights down on the ground still seem remote as stars. Then the scar on his forehead burned like a fire. As a Death Eater appeared on either side of the bike, 2 killing curses missed Harry by millimeters, cast from behind. And then Harry saw him. Voldemort was flying like smoke on the wind, without a broomstick or thestral to hold him. His snake-like face gleaming out of the blackness, his white fingers raising his wand again. How terrifying is that scene?
Disgusting.
Oh my gosh. He's actually able to fly now. And even some of them mention it later. But then he's about to cast a killing curse, and Harry thinks this. It says, it was over. He could not see or hear where Voldemort was. He glimpsed another Death Eater swooping out of the way and heard Avada as the pain from Harry's scar forced his eyes shut. His wand acted of its own accord. He felt it drag his hand around like some great magnet. Saw a spurt of golden fire through his half-closed eyelids. Heard a crack and a scream of fury. The remaining Death Eater yelled. Voldemort screamed, "No!" Somehow, Harry found his nose inches from the Dragonfire button. He punched it with his wand-free hand, and his bike shot more flames into the air, hurling straight toward the ground. So, again, I asked before, but what happened here? There's a golden spell, so let's say it's ancient magic. But how is Harry's wand acting of its own accord when it's not even the correct wand that Voldemort's using? He's using Lucius's wand.
I feel like this is about... It's no longer about Priori and Cantatum. It's about Harry and Harry's wand, or even Fawkes maybe. This gold, this... I don't know.
Could it be that like since his... I know it's early for like the change, but the charm... Could it be like... whatever the charm is on the house protecting him is now transferring to his wand because he's an adult.
Huh, interesting.
Like his mother's love. They keep saying like your mom died and like the love curse. So could it transform as he ages?
To like look a little different as he gets older. It could. Because it's something beyond Harry. Right? So it has to be something from his mom, something Dumbledore set up, something that happens when Fawkes was doing the lament. You know, it has to be something more. And then the golden thing could be about the purity of Harry's heart, or like the wand has an instinct for the greater good.
Or is it like, you know how the wand picks you? So like maybe they knew, like maybe when you have your perfect match of a wand, it
does what needs to be done.
Yeah, and it like knows what needs to be done.
Yeah, I think
They're soulmates.
the fact that it like moved his arm and like it feels just weird. Like he wasn't controlling the wand was controlling him.
So they can choose their master,
And then they can choose to do spells too, maybe.
or maybe it's in like times of trouble.
Yeah.
It takes over.
I mean, it seems like it,
But
we've
did
never
this
seen it before. Yeah, that's
why
why.
I'm like with the charm. Maybe it's
What's
something with it like transforming. Or Dumbledore's in the wand.
Dumbledore's in the
transferred
wand.
Spirit.
His spirit is in the wand.
Dumbledore
He
can do
froze
things from the
him,
spirit realm.
so maybe he added something to his wand.
Did Dumbledore do something during the time when he froze Harry on top of the astronomy tower? It's an interesting
What
question.
could you do to a wand? A spell that makes the wand do
Fight
crazy
for
things.
itself.
So here's maybe another question. If wands aren't seeming to work against Harry, how is Voldemort going to kill Harry? Is there maybe this, like, what is his plan to kill Harry? He's going to do it with his bare hands? Voldemort doesn't seem like he would do something. Like Snape maybe would do it.
Ollivander, right?
Yeah, for sure. So
something.
is there something with Olivander? Is Ollivander going to give him like the wand to beat all wands, you know?
like? I feel like maybe. Could there be a wand that's that much better than other wands? It seems like Harry's is now the best wand ever.
Yeah, for sure.
If it's beaten Voldemort multiple times, it's starting to feel pretty confident in itself.
Like what that's an interesting thing too. One of my friends who was reading this, after he finished like book 2 or 3, he's like, the thing I'm interested in most is wands and wand lore. And especially when he got to this section, I remember him talking about like there has to be something that Ollivander knows. But what is this thing? Why does he have Ollivander there? Is Voldemort's knowledge of wands just obviously not as good as Ollivander? But what is going on here? Why is he keeping Ollivander
Yeah,
captive?
you're right. That is very specific. So Voldemort knows it's a wand issue. Voldemort is experienced enough to say, yeah, he saw the wands fighting each other, but the fact that he is attributing it to the wand, not Harry. So it's not like, oh, Dumbledore did this thing to help Harry, or Harry is so pure of heart that he can fight me. He's like, no, it's the wand. There is a wand thing that is causing trouble. Or maybe Voldemort has so many prisoners that Ollivander's just one of the many, and he's like, well, I might as well ask everybody a few questions. But yeah, I don't know. He's like, what could Ollivander know? What could be powerful about this wand? The champion wand, the featherweight champion of the world.
Let's even this might sound like an absurd question, but what's like a wand ranking? Because Danny, you mentioned Harry's wand is probably the best in the world, but out of like the ones that we know, like is Voldemort's wand just lesser on the totem pole? Are wands? Yeah, we know that wands choose a wizard, and that's like a really interesting idea, but there have to be certain wands that are more powerful than others. Like, where does Dumbledore's wand rank? Where does Voldemort's wand rank? Where does Harry's wand? Where is Moody's?
Dumbledore's wand?
They probably buried it with him. I'm not sure, to be honest, but
if it is like what you're saying it is, shouldn't someone take it?
yeah, that's actually a great question.
But I was thinking it would be most powerful with its original owner. Like, because if the wand is choosing the wizard, will a wand that's been loyal to one wizard choose a different wizard?
Yeah.
Or does the wand kind of die with the wizard?
Yeah, that's an interesting one. Like, what would make a wand change its, I guess, allegiance to an owner?
Or it could just not work. I mean,
I don't know if it wouldn't work.
But Voldemort took other people's wands, right?
And look
so
what
obviously,
yeah.
Wait, it's not like it didn't work. It just didn't work to the capacity that he wanted it to.
Yeah, agreed.
So like Dumbledore's would probably be very powerful. So
didn't
like Harry have 2 wands?
Yeah, he's dual wielding wands right now.
And Neville got a new wand.
Mm-hmm.
Ron got his wand replaced when it broke. So we've seen a lot of people change wands, but I'm still thinking the longer you use a wand, the better it gets. Or it's like going to the gym, like you get stronger. So the wand is getting all this this workout all the time. And Harry's like,
there's a montage of the wand working out in the gym.
yeah,
with Rocky music. Yeah.
So I'm just thinking if the wand, I'm imagining the bond between wand and user strengthens, and the wand itself becomes more powerful as it's doing things, gaining experience.
So, and there's something about this too, where like if a wand is just handed over. Like, I think this happens with Ron. When a wand is just handed over to him and given to him, it doesn't respond exactly that well. Like, Lucius gives Voldemort his wand, and it just doesn't respond. So is there something that, like, a wand would do that would make it change its mind and want to, like, work for another wizard rather than the current one that it's with?
Well, obviously now we know something's up with wands.
Like, maybe it'd be purity of heart, although... That's what I'm thinking with Harry, but also maybe not all wands are good.
Yeah.
Like if a wand chose Voldemort, unless wands are all like smart enough to conspire against Voldemort from the beginning. But like, it just feels
plot hole the whole
weird. And we
time.
don't know like this whole priori incantatum, if Ollivander planned it and could foresee with a prophecy that Voldemort was going to be bad and try and sabotage a wand from the beginning, and then say, all right, we got to make another one with Fox's feather so that we can like, have a balance here. Or if it was more of they're just making a bunch of wands and then Voldemort grabs one and they're like, whoa, that was weird. And then all of a sudden Harry grabs the other. They're like, even weirder that there's only one other wand like this. So maybe it was all just random. But we know that when Lockhart used Ron's wand was on the fritz, but as soon as Lockhart tried to use it, blew up.
Yeah.
So it feels like, again, that was just a confirmation of like, it might be subtle, might be small, but when someone else uses a wand that isn't theirs, it's not the best. There is a learning curve to different wands, it seems. So that's why I just don't know how there could be a more powerful wand if a wand hasn't bonded with a person.
Yeah.
So, but age would be important. If a wizard's
what
been
about
using a wand for
RAB's
his
wand?
whole life. Yeah, like RAB, if he's old, he's older than Sirius. If a wizard's been using a wand for 50 years, wouldn't that be better?
Yeah,
But
or-
Voldemort's been using his wand for so long, but then Harry beat him.
Or like if a wand
Why
is
does they
like
have a
wine.
class on this
Age
Yeah.
is like
in
wine.
Hogwarts?
Seriously, like wand lore would be. Oh my gosh, I would love that class, Jen.
So true.
Please.
Not everyone believes it. That's the thing, though. Like the Malfoys sent someone to pick up
Yeah.
Draco's wand.
Yeah, seriously.
And
yeah. It's a great
it
point.
feels like this is one of those things like prophecies. Some people say that divination is a super important class and it's like the core of everything. Other people are like, that thing's a joke.
Yeah, but
it's
that's
probably
why
the
it
same
could
with
be a
wands.
class
Yeah, it
like
should be,
that.
right.
why-
But it's just funny because maybe nobody would take it. Would Harry even take it, or would he scoff at it like he scoffs at divination?
Yeah.
Even though his whole life seems to be determined by divination. So I don't know.
Interesting. We'll come back to this maybe a little bit at the end of the next chapter. But anything else in this one before we go for really quick into the chapter 15? We're all looking at Danny.
I don't think there's anything else. The only thing is, it said Hagrid's bike was enormous, and I was like,
Yeah.
it was Sirius's bike, so why is
sure.
it enormous? It should be a normal size bike for a
Yeah.
normal size Sirius. So my only thought is Dumbledore made it large for
Yeah,
Hagrid.
agreed. Yeah. I had
So
thought
that was
at the
sweet
same
of
time.
Dumbledore or Sirius.
Yeah.
And do we know Selwyn? At the end, I think it was Voldemort who said, Selwyn, give me your wand. And I'm like, I think this is the first we're hearing of Selwyn.
I think it's the first. Yeah. It might have been mentioned very, very briefly in a different thing, but
I
yeah.
don't know. Danny keeps track of names. So
I didn't write it down during the live read. I didn't go back either.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering why Voldemort doesn't have a whole vest full of wands. He can be just whipping through wands. Maybe every time he really thinks this is the last wand he'll ever need. But he keeps
Why
like
isn't he
asking for other
creating
people.
his own? He's so smart. Make your
Oh.
own wand.
Ooh, do you
Maybe
think
he's
that,
trying to.
Yeah, maybe that's why he has Ollivander. I keep saying Volamander. Ollivander. Is Ollivander gonna like craft his a distinct wand for him?
Oof. Now that
He
would
should,
be
and
that
make
would
it
be legit.
backfire on him.
Yeah, maybe
That would be
Ollivander.
awesome. Be like, yeah, I'll make any one you want,
Yeah,
and then have it kill him when he uses it.
So they haven't used a truth serum on Ollivander. That's weird. Wouldn't
Yeah,
Snape
right?
be making one of those? And it seems like they're not using Imperius either. And you would think they would. It makes me think Ollivander is so good they can't get to him with that stuff. And maybe he can't
What
be.
is Ollivander's wand like? That would be cool. Maybe he has the best one. He just doesn't use it.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Well, obviously, he got captured, so I'm probably not.
All right, let's go on to chapter 15, Fallen Warrior. Give me a very quick summary of this. We'll go over this one quicker.
All right, nice.
Are we?
Ish. No, we'll go over this one a little faster.
This is the one where they're all gathering back at
Yeah.
the burrow.
Yeah.
The burrow.
Yep.
And then at the end, I don't know if there's anything important.
They were,
in
like,
between,
waiting
but
for
at the
everyone.
end he sees Voldemort.
Yeah,
again,
at the
right?
end, there's the vision with Voldemort and Ollivander, yeah. But it's like there's a
Oh,
whole
yeah.
information download of like, it's like a recap of the previous chapter. There's like a lot of
Yeah.
stress over people who have died or not died. It's
Yeah.
like a very antsy chapter because you're not sure who the Fallen Warrior is. Initially, it's great because this chapter, you're like Hagrid.
Yep.
If it's Hagrid, I'm going to rip this book in shreds. But quickly you learn it's not, which is great. But this is another line that we get a little later in the chapter. No sooner had Mrs. Weasley bent over her son than Lupin grabbed Harry by the upper arm and dragged him, none too gently, back into the kitchen, where Hagrid was still attempting to ease his bulk through the back door. "Oi," said Hagrid indignantly. "Let go of him! Let go of Harry!" Lupin ignored him. "What creature sat in the corner the first time that Harry Potter visited my office at Hogwarts?" he said, giving Harry a small shake. "Answer me." A Grindylow in a tank, wasn't it?" Lupin released Harry and fell back against the kitchen cupboard. "What was that about?" roared Hagrid. "I'm sorry, Harry, but I had to check," said Lupin tersely. "We've been betrayed. Voldemort knew that you were being moved tonight, and the only people who could have been told, or who could have told him, were directly involved in the plan. You might have been an imposter." So, who do you think is the betrayer here? Is it just obvious that it's Mundungus? Or are we just kind of going along with Harry's plan? Because we talked about that before. Is Harry's plan, or was Harry's idea here the best idea, that no one purposely gave up the information? It was probably just accidental. Or even what Jenn was saying with like they infiltrated someone's mind with illegitimacy, something like that.
I would hope so. I want to go with that because everything else is falling apart. So
Yeah.
And they had said something else. Somebody made that point. It might have been Tonks who said they must have just overheard it because they knew when Harry was being moved, but they didn't know about the plan of 7 Harrys. That threw them off. So if
They
it was
didn't know
someone who
the date,
betrayed,
though.
yeah, they knew the date, it seems. Or that's what Tonks said. So we don't know for sure. But I'm going to believe that. That made the most sense to me of they overheard part of the plan somehow or got that information not because somebody betrayed them, but just because they're very clever or good at it or, sneaky stuff. And then they didn't get the whole plan. So they didn't get the part where they were going to split or have all the clones of Harry.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Part of me, while we're like saying this though, is just funny because I feel like Harry doesn't need protection because like something is always happening to protect him on his own.
Yep.
So like people are dying and stuff for no reason.
Yeah.
Like
Just send Harry
just
naked
let
out on
him
a horse.
go.
Honestly,
Go. They're
He
not
just
going to be able
needs
to touch
his
him.
wand. That's it.
Just give him a wand. His wand's going to act of its own accord.
That's all
He can literally not do anything.
Because after you saw this, you're like, he doesn't need help from anyone. His wand is help. Like he's protected
Seriously.
by ancient magic. He doesn't need anyone.
Yep. 100%.
Which is probably nice in a way for Voldemort. Keeps getting like defeated, like chipping away at his ego every time
Yep.
he encounters this young boy.
And it's good because I think it's going to make Voldemort sloppy because
Yeah.
he's going to be angry and acting out of like impulse rather than planning, which is good.
I like that. Then we have this
So
line.
what other creature is he part? Since now he can fly. He's part snake and part
Oh, yeah. That's so weird.
hippogriff.
Like we haven't even seen Dumbledore fly.
Yeah.
So it's just weird that this is like some new thing.
Yep.
Sketchy.
Advanced
Yeah, because
magic.
he
It's
likes
terrifying.
this gross stuff. Sorry, what were you gonna ask?
No, it is gross. It's weird. Another line that we have. The last words Albus Dumbledore spoke to the pair of us. "Harry is the best hope we have. Trust him," said Lupin calmly. What do you think Dumbledore meant by that? Like, why is Harry the last best hope that we have?
Because he has part of him in it, and somehow it wants to defeat. It's like Voldemort is in Harry, and that part wants to defeat Voldemort.
And like Voldemort can't even act against him because
It's like Voldemort wants to kill Voldemort.
Right.
interesting.
And then not only is part of Voldemort in Harry, but part of Harry is in Voldemort because of the initial spell that brought him back. The little
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like 3-1.
Yeah, so it's a very weird dynamic. It'd be nicer if Dumbledore said, Harry will defeat Voldemort, so trust Harry. But he's just saying, Harry's your best hope.
Yeah.
He's your best shot,
Yeah,
but it's still a
yeah.
gamble. I'm like, oh, that's not the best.
Well, because no one knows ancient magic that well, because it's ancient.
It seems that compared to Dumbledore, nobody knows anything. Like these guys, they all feel
so
like
true.
chumps compared
They
to
don't know
Dumbledore. They
anything, I know.
honestly do. Even Moody, even Kingsley, they're great, but they're
That's what's
like
so
little
sad.
kids
I'm
in
like,
comparison.
what the heck's going to happen?
They're still thinking so like
I need
basic.
to find RAB because I feel like he knows what's going on.
Yeah, seriously, yeah.
And they got to find some good old wizards, like the people that were administering the tests for the OWLs, like those types of wizards, Olivander, like people like that. I'm like, where's the old generation?
You think they're gonna try to
I feel
save
like Moody is
Ollivander?
somewhat old.
Yeah, Moody is, it
was.
seems.
Yeah, he was.
Oof.
Rest in
Oof.
peace.
Sorry.
Poor
He was
Moody.
old.
No, but you're right.
The only words Chris has said
you're
are
right.
shots at Moody. John, correction. He's dead.
But there have to be more.
Anyway, keep going.
More of the elderly. Go to the
Again,
wizard retirement home.
This chapter, along with this podcast, is good because we have serious moments and lighthearted moments. And I love some of the lighthearted moments in this chapter because they're having such serious conversation. And they're like, hey, like Lupin is strangling Harry trying to figure out who he is. And all of a sudden you get the line.
That's what he should have done with them when they came to his
For
house.
sure.
They
He
should have
strangled
all
of
done
them.
that stuff.
I
It
know.
should have been so established that was the plan. Like,
Yeah.
we have checks in place and we're going to ask questions and we're going to quiz each other because it was just weird.
Yep.
So I'm glad Lupin at least did that, even though they dropped that immediately after Harry when they should have been doing that with everyone else who came in too.
Yeah.
Though they didn't do it again.
Yep.
So,
But then you get this
Good
one,
start.
which is a great line. Perhaps roused by the sound of Fred and their father's arrival, George stirred. How do you feel, Georgie? Whispered Mrs. Weasley. George's fingers groped for the side of his head. Saint-like, he murmured. What's wrong with him? Croaked Fred, looking terrified. Is his mind affected? Saint-like, repeated George, opening his eyes and looking up at his brother. You see, I'm holy. Holy, Fred. Get it? It's so great. There's like, it's such a serious chapter, and then the twins are still bringing
Yep.
joy and laughter into everyone's.
Florida
So
Georgia Line
great.
song too, though. Holy.
Oh,
Sorry.
And then there's also like even other great lines where Tonks says, Ron was great, said Tonks warmly, relinquishing her hold on Lupin. Wonderful. Stun one of the Death Eaters straight to his head. And when you're aiming at a moving target from a flying room, you did, said Hermione, gazing up at Ron with her arm still around his neck. Always the tone of surprise, he said a little grumpily, breaking free. Are we the last back? So, I mean, there's a question. Did Ron kill someone? But I love the lighthearted moments in this chapter where like they're still not so serious where they're like terrified and like only having serious conversation. They're still bringing lightheartedness. Like that's something
Yep.
that you don't see with Voldemort's followers. They try to make a joke and no one laughs. Voldemort's like grumpy about it, the whole thing.
Yeah, you're right.
But these guys are just kind of like still enjoying life, having fun.
I wonder if Ron really intended to hit a dude in the face or if it was an accident. I think it might have been on purpose, but it also feels like it. Just the fact that he pulled away grumpily a little bit makes me think he's still grappling with it a little bit.
Yeah, for
like
sure.
this is a moment for him.
Yeah. Maybe his grumpiness is like, a little fear that he actually,
Yeah.
his curse actually connected.
Because even if that was his plan, and even if he would do it again, if he could do it all over, I feel like that would still be quite a moment to like wrestle with,
Yep.
And he's worried about other people. Are we the last back? Like he just wants to make sure everyone's safe. So we love Ron.
Yeah. And then, we get this little sad line right here. Mrs. Weasley ran forward, but the hug Bill bestowed upon her was perfunctory. Looking directly at his father, he said, Mad Eye's dead. And like you said before, it just kind of hits you. It's like comes out of nowhere rather than like Hedwig's death, which is like you're in there, you're in the moment that it happens.
Yep.
But we talked about this before too, but maybe again, what are your quick thoughts on Moody's death? Like, he seemed like he was the leader of the order right now. Like, who's going to be next in charge? Or is it kind of going to go into disarray? Is
I don't
Harry
know.
going to really step up?
It's weird just because who put Kingsley in the prime minister protective role? In my mind, that was Moody. Or Dumbledore left enough instructions that everyone kind of has like a bit of a plan going forward. I'd like to think there's more of a plan here because again, this isn't even the thing. This is just getting Harry to the next spot, but this is doing nothing to actually defeat Voldemort. And nobody else even knows about the Horcruxes. So as the rest of them are coming up with plans to like win the war, what is the plan?
Yeah.
Harry's the only one who knows about the Horcruxes and Ron and Hermione. So is he going to have to run away from them at some point and start trying to hunt down Horcruxes? And where's he even going to go? Well, like, what's the next thing? So far, from Harry's perspective, he has no plan. But then what is Kingsley doing? Is he like, I can't think big picture. I'm just going to protect the prime minister and keep doing my thing. But it feels like once Moody goes down, Kingsley should kind of be reevaluating and saying, oh, I might be the guy in charge now. Like maybe somebody else should go protect the prime minister. Or there is someone else in charge. Maybe McGonagall has been kind of part of the order this whole time and she's given some orders from behind the scenes. Or maybe RAB is involved somehow.
Yeah.
Or there's someone else. Or like, I don't know.
There's still this neutral party, which is the Ministry of Magic. So they're still performing their jobs. Like, in my understanding, Kingsley is doing this because this is his job as a Ministry of Magic member.
Yes, I forgot
and the same
about
thing.
that.
Tonks is working there. So like, yeah, Voldemort has infiltrated the Ministry, but he has not taken over to the point where like he is in charge of the Ministry of Magic. He's putting Imperious curses on people, and they're trying to get to that point. But it's just like there's a few bad agents, there's a few good agents. They don't really know, like they're trying to still battle it out of the Ministry.
Wow, that is so weird. And they're just going back to like their normal jobs.
But we do know that Kingsley's butt is really small. Because it says Lupin nodded. With a wave to the others, Kingsley walked away into darkness toward the gate. Harry thought he heard the faintest pop as Kingsley disapparated just beyond the burrow's boundaries.
Faintest pop.
Flat.
He skipped leg day.
Yeah, he's got a flat butt.
Yep.
And then
Or crazy theories.
these are the best theories. I love these theories. And then
Those I can follow.
Yeah, the only ones, right?
My brain is just too full. I keep hitting into this, so I'm sorry for editing purposes.
it's all right. Don't worry about it. Is Harry foolish a little bit to be so trusting of everyone? Like when everyone's debating and fighting over, and you mentioned this even before, Danny, like he's just saying this pretty much because they're about to attack Hagrid and Harry trusts Hagrid. But he does seem to have a big trust in everyone else there.
Dumbledore's friend. What did the reporter say?
Dumbledore's man.
Dumbledore's
through and
man
through.
through and through.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And
it does
he
feel
saw
like
how Snape turned on him, so you would think
right.
he would learn.
Yep.
But maybe that's the beauty of Harry being able to like keep seeing past negative stuff and just be like purely trusting and just keep forgiving people. Or maybe not forgiving. He actually holds grudges pretty good. But at least giving benefit of the doubt. And in this case, that's like a loyalty. And maybe that's what's just bringing people together instead of like tearing people apart. And like, I'm forgetting all the specifics, but that's what the Death Eaters are missing, right? Like this is like love. This is connection. This is bonding. The lightheartedness, even in like hard times. I feel like that is light. That is good. That is what contrasts evil. So we love Harry for it, but there are moments it seems like naive and silly.
Yeah, absolutely. Like he's almost too trusting of people. And again, that's like part of the reason why we love him, but then it does bite him in the butt for it for some things. Sometimes he does seem like an idiot as well, because it says the rest of them now dropped into their chairs, all except for Harry, who remained standing. The suddenness and completeness of his death was with them like a presence. I've got to go too, said Harry. 10 pairs of eyes, startled eyes, looked at him. Don't be silly, Harry, said Mrs. Weasley. What are you talking about? So Harry wants to leave at this moment. And you understand why he wants to leave, because he even has that moment where he talks about that. But is he an idiot for even like thinking about leaving, or is this make him kind of like noble and brave?
No, he's dumb.
Good. I'm glad you guys are on the same page. It is a little bit insulting that after this whole thing happened, that's like what's on his mind, because all these people are literally about to sacrifice their life. Moody died for this, and he's like, okay, I'm going to. I understand why Harry wants to do that, but he's also an idiot.
Yeah, just felt frustrating. I'm like, just settle in for a second.
Yeah.
Like, get a night's sleep. In the morning, think about things. You're like, everyone's foggy brained at night. Just
Get
give
some
it a
food in
rest.
your
It's been
system.
emotional. It's been crazy. Like, take a breath, relax, come up with a plan. Don't just like fly by the seat of your pants. But that is, of course, what Harry always does. And so I don't know. It does feel like he needs to slow down and needs to trust people and have a plan. But running away from the burrow and protections and everything else doesn't really make sense.
Yeah.
He trusted the plan to get him here, and it got him here. And if he was going to run away when he got here, just if things are a little tough, then he shouldn't have even left to begin with.
Yeah.
So I don't know. If he had a plan and he said, we have to leave because we have to do this, I know where the next easiest Horcrux to get is, and this is what Dumbledore wanted me to do. Ron and Hermione, I need your help. Let's go do a thing. All right, cool. I can get behind that.
Yeah.
But just like, I'm scared and I'm putting people in danger. Let me run off into the woods or something. I'm like, what are you doing? Just chill. So I was mad at him. Yeah.
Yeah, agreed.
You too, Jen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You said a lot, so.
This is the line that we were talking about a little while before, but if you want to add anything onto this after you hear the conversation, we'll talk about this for a second. It says, and then out of nowhere, the pain in his scar peaked. As he clutched his forehead and closed his eyes, a voice screamed inside his head. You told me the problem would be solved by using another's wand. And into his mind burst the vision of an emaciated old man lying in rags upon a stone floor, screaming. A horrible, drawn-out scream. A scream of unendurable agony. No, I beg you. You lied to Lord Voldemort, Olivander. I did not. I swear, I did not. You sought to help Potter, to help him escape me. I swear I did not. I believed a different wand would work. Explain, then, what happened. Lucius's wand is destroyed. I cannot understand. The connection exists only between your two wands. Lies. Please, I beg you. And Harry saw the white hand raise its wand and felt Voldemort's surge of vicious anger. Saw the frail old man on the floor writhe in agony. Harry? It was over as quickly as it had come. It's a fire truck out there. Yeah, I know.
Like somebody's got to finish it.
Is there anything else that you want to add to that? Initially, when you guys listened to it, you thought that Voldemort or Ollivander was lying.
Actually, I didn't think he was lying for about half of it. And then by the time it finished, to comfort myself, I said, no, he's lying. He's loyal. He's good. You trust Ollivander? Was he telling the truth? Is he
I feel
scared
like he
of
was
Voldemort?
on Dumbledore's side somehow. But when it's your own life, what would you
Yeah.
like the show we were watching last night?
Yeah. So I don't know. I feel like I'm trusting Ollivander still. So when Voldemort says, you told me the problem would be solved, I'm trusting that Ollivander knew the problem wouldn't be solved and it was a bit of sabotage. But he's playing into it and letting Voldemort keep coming to him with like problems and he can try to fix it, but he already knows the real solution and he's like hiding it somehow. So I'm not sure, but that's how I'm reading it now, to give him a little credit, because Harry told me to trust
like
people.
he needs it.
He
Him.
told you to trust people.
Voldemort
Yeah.
needs Ollivander, even if he's lying to him.
Yeah. Because, I
Yeah.
mean, this guy's been making wands and it's in his family, so he knows a heck of a lot about wands. And there's, again, this weird idea the wand chooses the wizard. What does that exactly mean? It hasn't really been talked about in the books really at all. And that's just like, what the heck is that talking about? What does that mean? What is the magic behind that? So it's something that kind of pops into your head in this chapter again, almost from the beginning, from the first one. But there's something that when I was doing this read with Abby, because we're in the first book, Harry left. I don't know if you listened to that podcast yet, but Harry left
think so.
that he left Ollivander's having an odd feeling about
Oh,
Ollivander.
yes. And Abby caught that
Yeah.
and mentioned it. And I was like, oh,
Yeah.
that is weird.
And I really had never noticed that before.
Yep.
And it was just like a small little thing mentioned there and there. And usually you think Ollivander is on the good side, but is he more of a neutral character? Is he really like a strong wizard?
he's
We keep talking about
giving
these people.
the wands to both, good and bad, right?
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a good point.
See the mastermind behind all this, like orchestrating
Yeah.
this whole thing?
He created.
And we trust Harry. And Harry
Prophecy.
got a weird feeling from Ollivander. So
for
that was
sure.
weird. But we trust Dumbledore too. And he's been writing letters back and forth with Ollivander. Ollivander told him as soon as Harry walked out with that wand.
Yeah.
So it makes it seem like that wand is important. And Dumbledore knows it.
Yep.
Ollivander knows it. And they were talking about it. But I don't know. It also is weird that the wand chooses the wizard, but it takes someone like Ollivander to speak wand, to watch Harry use the wands and tell him which one is the one that he connects with.
Yeah.
Because Ollivander's giving him all these wands, and Harry doesn't know what anything is, so he's just flicking them around and like doing whatever. And then Ollivander gives him the right one, and he's like, "Yep, that's the one." It's like Ollivander is still the one telling him, "Yeah, that's the wand choosing you."
But there's almost
But
a
I don't
point
know.
too to that where like you like maybe Ollivander gave him a cursed wand, where he knows as soon as whoever has this wand, which he probably thought it was going to be Harry too, I'm sure, but he was like almost giving him all these other wands, like hoping that it wouldn't work.
Right.
But then there's the same point where Ollivander just loves this, and he was like getting giddier and more excited every single wand that he gave Harry. So like he was getting more excited, and then he finally gave him the one that worked, and that was the thing. That was it.
But he might already know another prophecy about it.
Yeah, for sure.
Whoever has the sister wand to Voldemort's wand is going to have an epic battle, and one of them is
Yeah.
going to die, which just confirms the other prophecy we already know. So, yeah, maybe for Ollivander, he's like, no, please not that wand.
Yeah.
Not Harry.
Yeah. But yeah, do you think that Ollivander really does know something deeper, or is he just kind of like trying to get by? Because there's also another part in this where it seems like Ollivander really doesn't know, and he's just like saying not necessarily anything he can to not be tortured, but at the same moment he's like, what if in this chapter you truly trust Ollivander is saying the truth, that he doesn't know, that he thought another wand would work but it didn't? Is Ollivander going to die right now?
I think he still needs him.
I think if Ollivander's telling the truth, it's actually safer for Ollivander.
Yeah.
It means Ollivander's been broken, and it means that Harry's in uncharted territory.
Yep.
But it means that he's safe from Voldemort, because Voldemort's going to be able to not only read his mind, but also just understand even Muggle lying techniques and say, oh, it actually seems like Ollivander's telling the truth. He can still keep Ollivander alive and say, well, keep helping me brainstorm how to defeat Harry then and give me another option.
Yeah.
But then that would be sad for us, because then we don't trust Ollivander anymore.
Yeah, for sure.
So I'm hoping he's lying.
But can't he read his mind?
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It would mean Ollivander's really good.
Yeah.
If he can block off his mind, he somehow resisted truth potion or whatever else and legitimacy. And so how good do we think Ollivander is?
And maybe there's something too where you can't necessarily read someone's mind if you're furious and angry. So he's in
Ooh,
a
yeah.
moment of fury here. So maybe he really can't penetrate into his mind. And like even on top of that, maybe there's something that something so evil about Voldemort, even though he knows Ollivander is telling the truth, he's still going to torture him and still going to question him and still going to like make his life miserable, which says even more gross things about Voldemort, how evil he is. But last question for this chapter, because this is what happens, or two more little side ones. But it was supposed to have we'll have like 20 more questions, guys. All right, so just hold on. Just kidding.
That seems more accurate.
But it was supposed to have stopped. Your scar, it wasn't supposed to do this anymore. You mustn't let that connection open up again. Dumbledore wanted you to close your mind. When he did not reply, she gripped his arm. Harry, he's taking over the ministry and the newspapers and half the wizarding world. Don't let him inside your head too. So a question onto that is, did Voldemort really want Harry to see this? Because you guys had that thought that maybe Voldemort planted this inside Harry's mind.
I didn't think so,
Me neither.
but it has to be considered, because that's what got them into trouble at the ministry before. So instinct,
But this wasn't a
was an
lure
accident.
for him, I don't think. Like last time it was, because it was serious.
Yep.
yeah. So this feels genuine. It feels accidental. Feels like Harry got a peek at what's actually going on.
Also, like he's furious. I feel like when you're angry like this.
Yep, you lose control a little
Yep.
bit.
Yeah.
100%.
So I think it's real. And why would he want him to know?
Yeah, and this requires no action of Harry.
Yeah.
So
what I'm saying.
that's very different. But again, like Hermione is saying, cautious.
Yeah.
Be cautious. If there's anything that does require action, Harry has to be super, super careful, which he's terrible at because he just rushes in to help people.
Yeah. And even on a side note, when Harry was about to leave the burrow, where do you think he would have gone? Like Jen, you say like just go into the woods somewhere. Like maybe he would have. That's like his best plan is just go walk in the woods and go look for Horcruxes under
I have no
stones.
idea. I don't know. Would he go to Hagrid's house? Like, where would he go? I have no idea.
Like where would he actually go?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like he doesn't have anywhere else to go.
Yeah.
Like the Burrow, Hogwarts.
Back home.
Is it even his home anymore? That'd be nuts.
They said like once you say it's not your home though, right? The protection is gone.
They'd never think to look for him there.
For sure.
Maybe.
Closer you are to danger.
The farther you are from harm. But they actually might go tear through the house looking for clues.
Yeah, for sure. That's what they think they're going to do too. They like, because Moody even says, don't even lock it because they're just going to, unlock it and look through the house anyway.
They should have
But
left
there's
some
nothing
fake
in
clues
there.
for them.
Yeah.
That would have been good.
Just anything but Harry's blood, though.
Yeah.
Anything else in this chapter before we do the final little rundown?
Only one thing.
Only one?
13 glasses being raised for a toast. Weird number.
Yeah.
They're not dining together, but raising a glass together with 13 still could mean something. And we don't know what, but what we do know is Lupin drained his glass first, and he was the first to put his glass down. So...
Why would you say that? I don't want him to die.
No. But that's when you're dining together. When you cheers, it maybe gives you power.
opposite.
Blessings. You get
Blessing.
good
And
stuff.
it was to Mad Eye too. So it was like, I feel like that's different than dining together. But I still don't understand if 13 is an unlucky number and 13 dine together, first to rise is going to die first. What is it when it's like you're raising a glass and the first to put it down? What does that mean? But I'm going to keep an eye on Lupin from now on. I feel like there's something special about it. And I hope it's good and not bad. I hope so. But there's a chance it could be the same as dining, and this is a curse. Downing it in one glass, putting your glass down, and it said both of those things distinctly. So I think it means something.
Did wait, who can you give me, sorry,
Yeah.
who are the 13 people there?
Well, we know that it was 7 pairs that left.
Yeah. 2 of them didn't return. Mundungus left.
Yep.
Moody died, Mundungus left.
And
Kingsley's gone.
Is Kingsley gone too?
He disapparated.
But now we have Ginny and Mrs. Weasley.
Yeah, we have Jenny and Mrs. Weasley.
Yeah, so it went from 14
to 11.
to 11, and then you
13.
add 2,
Dang.
13. And so we know that it was 13 here. And at some point, I forget where it says it. His wand, he sent 12 full glasses soaring to the room to each of them. And that was Bill who went over there. So Bill holds his one glass, sends 12 out. And then to each of them, holding their 13th aloft, Mad Eye. So it literally says he sends 12 and he holds his 13th aloft to Mad Eye. So Bill gave the cheers too. Does that mean anything? I don't know. And then a few lines later, so Mundungus disappeared, ? Said Lupin, who had drained his own glass in one. So he's first to drain, most likely. Everyone's tense, blah, blah, blah.
Again, maybe this is the opposite. Let's hope this is the opposite.
Let's hope it is, yeah. I thought it said specifically he put it down, but I don't see exactly where it said that. But yeah, it's...
Anytime there's 13
when
together.
there's 13, oh man. It's intense.
Interesting point.
So, anyways, it's something. I'll be keeping an eye out for. Bill and Lupin in regards to 13 could have some 13 magic or curses.
All right, let's do the final rundown for this. Give us who is your favorite character? Who wins the House Cup?
1, 2, 3.
Yeah. Thanks. Letting me go first.
There's a lot to choose
I
from
don't
in these chapters.
know.
Like rather than the other
I
chapters
think
where we couldn't.
Hagrid. Because he was willing to like sacrifice himself for Harry at the end.
Yeah.
And like felt bad for like using his magic, but then protected him. Yeah, I think I'll go with him.
It's a good one, Hagrid.
You can go now.
No, I agree with you, Hagrid. I think
Really?
I think he probably deserves it. Yep. Yeah, Hedwig was more of an accident kind of thing. Hagrid intentionally dove over and protected Harry, saved him.
I hope they show that in the movies. I guess they don't.
Why do you say yes they don't? Just
Because you just said Hedwig was.
But they
can't
could have
have
Hagrid defending himself.
Multiple.
Maybe.
But that's why if this is split into 2 movies, they're really leaning into some of these scenes, you know?
I hope so.
It might be a really long scene.
Kristen, who's your House Cup winner? Gonna say Hagrid too?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, Hagrid sounds good. I love him. I don't know if I've ever given it to him, so that would make me happy to give it to him. I like your reasonings, you too.
Yeah.
Excellent.
I'm gonna give it to Mrs. Weasley here for the fact that everything that the Weasleys are giving up to be here and to do this is astounding to
true.
me. And
It's
she
like
is
the whole family.
yeah, it's the whole family, and she is sitting at home. Like you could tell, like she does stuff with her hands, and Harry is like she's doing stuff to distract herself. How much agony she must be in for all
She's
her
watching
children, pretty
those
much.
Things. What are those
Yep.
little thermometers?
Her clock must be going wild right
100%.
now.
They're all at mortal peril. They're like, so I love the fact that the Weasleys, I just love the Weasleys so much. They're just willing to sacrifice and give up for Harry in ways that you really don't see other people doing it. And I think Mrs. Weasley is giving up an immense amount right here, even just by letting her children go be part of this plan. Even her growth in some of this kind of stuff, because in the book 5, she was like, none of these kids can take part in this. And she's still very protective over them, but I just love that she is, I think she's great. I
Yeah.
felt so bad for her this chapter. Like just waiting
Bill
to hear.
is like destroyed
Yep.
face, and now
Fred's
George
ear.
doesn't
George's
have
ear is off, yeah.
an
Wow.
ear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he goes, Mom, now you can tell us apart.
And Mr. Weasley.
And you
almost
said that,
died.
Jen, during the chapter. You're like, oh, too soon.
Right before.
And then they said
yeah,
it.
way too soon.
That was funny.
What's your favorite moment in these two? There's a lot of good moments in these two, too.
So many. I always love when Harry defeats Voldemort, though. So that was fun to see his wand act on its own accord.
So much mystery in that, too. So you're like waiting for answers.
Ancient
Ancient
magic,
magic. Yeah, it's a good moment.
Man, yeah, that is good. I mean, I like the Hagrid moment and the relief of him being alive. I was just like, oh my goodness. Thankfully, he is still alive because I was worried. But then there was still so much tension. So in hindsight, the playfulness of 7 Harrys in a room feels so innocent and fun before Death Eaters and Voldemort come to play. So, yeah, oh man, I don't know. I feel like the tone shift happened right now, and it might stay like this for the rest of the book. So I'm like, you know what? Holding on to the last moments at the Dursleys, a little playful, 7 Harrys, coming up with a plan. You're still optimistic about it working.
Yeah.
I feel like that was easier to read.
Yeah, that's
I'll say a favorite moment.
I'll go with the comic relief moments with Fred and George.
Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
that
I
because
was
even
gonna say that too.
in the midst of everything, they can just bring some laughs.
Yeah.
Even if it might be too soon, but
Yeah.
I can't see you.
I
Jen.
know.
I'm trying to like see what it
Yeah,
is.
I kind of think those are some of my favorite moments too. There's so many good moments in these chapters, but I really truly love that one where Fred and George, like Fred thinks his mind is addled at this, and he's like, his comedic timing is so good. He's like letting his brother think that his mind is addled for a little bit before he's like, I'm holy, I'm saint-like, I'm holy, Fred. So I think that's great for you guys. Yeah, just for what you said, Kristen, for just to have lightheartedness and laughter at moments like that. I think it goes leaps and bounds. I love it.
Yeah.
And who's our hot tamale?
Harry's wand.
That's a great one. Yeah, that's a good one. That is a great one. Harry's wand is the hot tamale of this episode.
Big time.
I know. Very hot.
Very hot.
It's so hot. It's gold.
Ooh, the golden
Yep.
tamale.
Golden tamale, the wand tamale. But I'm trying to think if there could have been any other spicy moments.
Our spice might have to change. Not getting too much of the other spice.
Yeah.
Except when Harry's riding on naked on a horse. That's like my favorite thing in this podcast. That's such a good. That was so good. Instead of bareback, bare naked. Oh, it's so funny.
It's classic.
Yeah. Someone in chat says, Cecilia says, when they're cheering ear, ear. That's a great moment.
yeah,
too.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that is good. Hot tamale. I don't know.
The wand is a great pick. I might kind of pick the wand too. That's a hot tamale right there. I mean, I was going to pick Tonks because Tonks is just always a hot tamale, but she's not really that involved in these chapters.
Yeah.
So.
And there was some
Exactly.
funny moments with Floor and Bill.
Yeah, for
but
sure. Yeah.
Close.
I'll go with you, Danny. I like that. Harry's wand is the hot tamale for me.
Ginny.
She's the original anyway. Oh yeah, that moment with Harry and Ginny, they're looking at each other like
A lot of
They
tension
were-
there.
all right,
Embrace each other.
good to see you, but
You're like, all right, when is everyone else going to leave?
yep. Well, come to think of it, then Harry goes outside and like leaves her in there and
Yeah.
like whatever. That was a little
Yeah.
weird.
But he does have the moment where he's like, he wishes everyone was gone so he could just hug her and like be with her.
Yes,
You know, it's
yeah,
cute.
which was cute.
Yeah.
So just do it.
Oh, but he's
I know,
also,
right?
but they also like broke up, right? So they're not like
Yeah, so
allowed
they're
to.
not together
I
together,
forgot, right?
He broke it.
Yeah,
off.
whose
Yeah,
fault
he
is
did,
that?
but then
He did
they
it for
clearly
noble
both
reasons,
want it.
guys. All right.
Stupid
Yeah, but like
Yeah,
if
dumb, noble
everything's
reasons.
happening and if Harry Potter doesn't succeed, everyone's dying. So who cares? What did you say?
She goes, stupid boy.
Yeah, the
So true.
usual. I could still say that, right?
yeah. Boys are stupid. I can admit it, and me too, most of the time.
All right, good.
I don't know. I want to do the same as you. Are we picking Ginny?
Ginny?
Yeah.
Ginny's in this chapter in like
Wands
3
and
sentences.
Ginny.
But
I
she's
don't know.
hot.
When in doubt, choose Ginny.
Her aura is just always hot.
Yeah,
Yep,
it is.
pretty much.
Hot tamale aura. All right. Well, thanks for joining us on our journey of Harry Potter and the First Time Readers.
I wish we could have fire whiskey and brandy.
supposed to,
Too bad
yeah.
it's the morning. But
I know.
like, if this was an evening recording,
Yeah.
we could have raised our own glasses like we've
We'll
done.
do it next
for all
time. We'll
the
bring some fire
fallen
whiskey
I would
next time.
at least
Raise our
10 minutes
glasses.
into the podcast rather than the last
But I
10
think
minutes.
we'll still cheers to Mad Eye at some point in
Yeah.
our future recording.
And to Hedwig.
yeah,
Come on.
And
Can't
to
forget
Hedwig, for sure.
Why do
yes.
you keep forgetting her?
To Madwig.
It wasn't as
to
impactful
Madwig.
to me.
To Mad Eye and Hedwig.
You just said that it was.
Is it bad?
Well,
that I keep
Harry
forgetting
didn't even
Hedwig
raise
is
a glass
girl?
to Hedwig.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do always think.
No.
Yeah.
Hedwig could be a hot tamale. A dead tamale.
I almost picked her.
Oof.
Too soon.
Ouch.
Too soon. Too soon.
Well, also, is there any chance Moody's still alive? Because there's
Maybe.
that small part of me that I trust Bill because he says it, and I think Moody's done for. But there's also that tiny part of me that's like, it just feels too simple, and like he just like fell and is gone. But like,
Yeah.
it's more final when we see the body.
Yeah, they're gonna
and
collect the
there's
body
like
for sure.
a burial and everything. So I think that'll be like the closure